for the beer radio you've been looking for. This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.
Hey, howdy, hey, my brewing brothers and sisters. Here we are live from the National Homebrewers Conference 2009 in Oakland, California. What a fantastic time it has been, eh? Hey, John?
It sure has. I love being here.
You love being here? I love being here, too. I love seeing all our brewing brothers and sisters gathered around.
Yeah.
A lot of people I recognize, people I've just met this time. Joseph, I just met him this year. There's a very disturbing sight. We got Blobber and Brew Tattoo handcuffed together. Nice rhinestone handcuffs there. I think you guys ought to just hold hands the whole time. That really would that would be creepy. Yeah, Blobber, that would be creepy. I met all sorts of new people, new faces, people who are willing to walk from Bart all the way to More Beer and back. And his wife even went with him. Now that's a heck of a walk from one to the other. I don't know if you've done that, but that's a serious one. I see my good friend Peter, and we got all sorts of.
Andrew.
I see a lot of my Johns are here in the crowd. Very nice. I see the annoying brother pair that gives me a lot of crap every year, but I actually like those guys. They make me laugh like you wouldn't believe. And, there's a few BN shirts out there, and I see some great cans looking very nice. Very nice. And this show is going to be one of our Brewing Network Brew Strong live Q&A shows.
Yes, this will be our really true interactive show. We're going to be able to see the people asking us the questions.
Yeah, that's really important with this crowd. Yeah. Really like to see all the beer bellies and what have you. A few kilts in the room, things like that. It's like that really somehow enhances it, I guess. Well, and if you do have a question, there's a couple of ways you can get your question on the air. One is the beautiful Bevo with the Great Cans shirt on. We'll hand out a slip of paper, and you can write down your question. You won't have to go on the air. Just put your question, your first name on there. Or the lovely Schumann over here. He has a microphone. You can go ahead and get on the air and ask your question live. So if you got a question, go ahead and start queuing up the beautiful Bevo or the somewhat gorgeous Schumann. So what's your favorite part of the conference been, John?
Well, I always like one of the seminars. I mean, in fact, it always puzzles me when people say, well, that they're going to come to the conference and not go to the seminars. Maybe that's just me being the beer nerd that I am, but I really like listening to all this new information, different points of view on all the diverse topics that they have here. Dr. Michael Lewis this afternoon gave a really interesting talk on use of multiple strains of yeast. Right.
He was fantastic, too. Yeah. I tell you, that guy's Brewing Network material. He is so funny. Yeah. He was great.
And then Charlie Bamforth, too. Afterwards, that was fun. Bamforth
is awesome also. We were hoping he could join us and help do the live Q&A, but, he's in high demand. Both those guys are, so I'm not sure they'll be able to show up or not.
Yeah. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, the thing I love about this conference is getting to, meet the people, getting a chance to see a lot of my buddies that I've met over the years. I met you for the first time this year, next year it's like, hey, my old brother, and we'll have a lot of fun. Like the annoying brothers from
Yeah, whatever state that is.
Right. Well, and it was Orlando, and I hear it's Pro Brewers Night, and I'm there to have a good time, and what happens? But these two guys, like, corner me, and you listen to them pick on you, and it is in stereo. These guys are giving me crap in stereo. It's left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and they just go on and on. But they're fantastic. They a couple of passionate brewers are really interested in making great beer. Not that they're to that point yet, but they have an interest in it, and it really shows. So I really love that about them. They're good guys. They really are. And this year, I think they only called me asshole like twice, maybe, instead of
that's a record.
Every other word. So yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I had a lot of fun chatting with them at again Pro Brewers Night. They accosted me, and clearly they're following me around now. So that's all right.
That's true. I mean, every year you see so many familiar faces from years past, and can't remember the names all the time, but it's always great coming back and seeing all these friends. I mean, 1,000 friends. Catch up with them from years past and see what everybody's been up to.
Well, I think one of the reasons that a company like More Beer would donate 2 sculptures to this event is they have a real love for these guys too. It's not because they think they're going to all of a sudden sell a whole bunch more sculptures. Yeah. It's like,
and it's because they're just down the block anyway.
Right, they're going to give a little bit back, and or a lot back. And I'll tell you, More Beer has done more for this conference than most of you folks will know. Things from making sure the commemorative beers got from Southern California up to here. They paid for that. The map, the really nice map that went out that Dave Blank of Bay Area Mashers made for the conference.
Oh, yeah,
that More Beer paid to have that printed. A lot of little things like that. They really came through. Anytime we couldn't find somebody to take care of something, somebody to sponsor something, More Beer jumped right in. And one of the things they've done is sponsored a brewing sculpture for the Brewing Network to give away. Now, listeners had till midnight last night to get in on the raffle. But if you are here at the conference, you can go ahead and get some raffle tickets right now. We are going to be raffling off this beautiful brew sculpture. You see in that photo right there? That's going to be raffled off tonight at Club Night. So you only got a couple hours to get in on that raffle, buy some tickets. It goes to a good cause, the Brewing Network, keeping us on the air, and you can get yourself a real nice sculpture. And then down right here at the More Beer booth, they've got another that you can get in on that raffle. That one is going to be raffled off tonight as well, Justin, I believe. That's going to go out same time at Club Night?
That's right. We'll do it. We'll probably do it right after More Beers, and you don't have to be present to win. And I can't believe those guys. It's a beautiful stainless steel stand, B3 1000.
Yeah.
It was $10 a ticket here. And a lot of people hummed and hawed. That's a $2,300 brew system.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but it's a $10 ticket for a $2,300 brew system.
And I don't think there's been that many entries that I wouldn't pony up a few tickets myself.
There wasn't too many. If you don't count the 30 or 40 of my own that I put in, wasn't too many.
I'm not allowed to win, though, am I?
No. Other than me, no employees or family members of the Brewing Network may enter.
Nice. I appreciate that restriction there.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, I had John Palmer's wife calling. Can I get in? No, sorry, no family either.
Yeah. Did my kids call?
They did not. No.
Father's Day's coming up. So.
It's Sunday.
Yeah. Sunday.
Well, there's going to be a happy daddy somewhere, I hope.
Well, yeah. I get home and,
And it's going to be Jamil. And then someone's going to win the sculpture, too.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Giving it away tonight.
Absolutely. Well, and let's get into our Q&A here. I think, the crowd here, make sure you're getting your questions in either to the lovely Bevo over here. Asking a question is really a worthwhile way to get to be real close to Bevo for a little while. So
it's half the fun.
That's I would imagine people are going to be swarming that avenue of asking questions. And if you prefer the lovely Schumann, if you swing that way, Schumann's over here, and microphone you can get live on the air and and have your voice transmitted to the many tens of thousands of listeners to this fine show.
Which is what we want to hear. We want to hear where you're from, too. A lot of folks at home wondering how many people and from all over the place come to the NHC. So come over, give your name, tell us where you're from, and ask away to these guys.
Absolutely. And there's no stupid questions, just stupid people. And this is setting a record for the NHC. We got over 1,200 people attending this thing. A big record.
Really amazing.
Big increase. So it's been a huge number of people. Yeah, everyone from far away that's come to the conference, they're all BN listeners.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much the majority of the people here at the conference are BN listeners.
How amazing is that?
Really
and a
cool.
lot of first-time conferencers. I don't know if you've noticed, but I always like to ask people, is it your first conference?
Right.
And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 of the people I've asked, yeah, it's my first one.
The first one, and they're BN listeners.
Yeah.
They're not, it's my first one. I didn't hear about it from something else. They heard about it from the BN.
Yeah.
Coming out for the party and all that. It's wonderful.
Which explains all the things that have been thrown at me walking down the hall.
Right. A lot of peanuts.
A lot of peanuts have been thrown at me, Jamil. You're not the only one. Yeah.
I've heard a story of people buying bags of peanuts, and I'm telling you, if you're going to do the peanut thing, you better be willing to back it up, because I'm not going to take it lightly. You're gonna have to man up and be prepared for the battle.
Jamil's tougher than he looks. You look like a softie, but you're tougher than you look.
I get to be freaking insane.
We're just waiting for you to snap, man.
That's right. It's coming. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming.
I mean, the obvious one is JP, but I think you're really the hidden snapper.
That's right. I might be the one to go burst a vein in my head and kill all the other people in the room.
Yeah.
It might be me.
And
The
everyone
brewcaster to first snap.
I would love it. I promise you to keep the mics rolling when Jamil snaps. That is my vow.
There you go. That's quality brewcasting right there.
Yeah.
That's professionalism.
Great radio.
Yeah, you might want to move your chair a little bit.
Probably have to play you the tape back, Jamil, because it'll be one of those white light moments where you don't really remember anything you've done or said. I'll play it back for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did that.
I'll be like, what? Everyone's dead? What the heck?
Yeah.
Well, I'll listen to the podcast, figure out how it occurred.
Yeah. All right. It looks like we maybe got a question coming up over here already.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got?
It's one of my Johns. Sweet.
Hi, John Semankiewicz, Raleigh, North Carolina. I figured I'd better ask a question and stop y'all from Bibling on.
Bibling?
So I wanted to follow up on something Mr. Foster said earlier about the lecture that Mr. Lewis gave, or Professor Lewis gave earlier today. And he was talking about selecting your own yeast or yeast mixtures and repitching that over and over for generations to kind of cultivate your own yeast mixture for certain properties. And he talked specifically about different depth sampling for different things. How else might we look to sample yeast for particular characteristics, or how could we apply that to things other than, per se, flocculation?
Well, temperature, tolerance to alcohol. He was talking about top cropping, and I think that's what kind of spurred that on.
And part of what he was saying was, brew the beer that you want to brew, and then, think of the characteristics that you desire. And so, if you're looking for good attenuation, then select, the late, flocculating yeast. So you select for yeast that'll stay in suspension longer. And I guess, that's represent the principles he was saying, that, you apply a stress to the system, or you
consistent stress. So consistent stress that selects for the characteristics that you want. So not necessarily try and monkey the system, but if you have a great beer and it's turning out, fantastic.
Yeah.
Then keep those same parameters in place. Keep that same selection in place. Keep the same fermentation temperature and all those little aspects, pitching rates and all that. Keep that consistent, and what you'll get out of that, you'll start automatically selecting for the appropriate characteristics, and that you'll carry forward.
Yeah, I think one other aspect of that is if. You've got a batch of beer that is just the way you want it. Well, if you let's say you harvest yeast from that batch that you're trying to emulate again. If you only skim, the top at the beginning of the fermentation, or the next batch or something, you're not going to select across the whole spectrum of that beer. So what you may want to do is you may want to wait, keep that in a closed system. Wait for most of the yeast to flocculate, and then take a big scoop of that, swirl it up, and use that for your start. Because now you've got a cross section of both the early flocculating, the late flocculating. You've got a more representative sample of that beer you're trying to be consistent with.
Okay. Well, thanks, John, for popping the question cherry. I think we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we got some more questions coming in.
Schumann had a very important question. I think it's important enough to do before the break.
Oh.
Okay. My name is Schumann. I'm from Pacheco. And I'm wondering, what's the best way to triple hop a beer?
Triple hop a beer.
I heard that's a new thing.
Add lots of hops, I would think, 3 times, and don't use extracts as somebody might triple hop in the commercial field. Yeah. But, you got anything to add to that one, John?
I think I'm thinking of the signage in question. I'm wondering if they don't triple hop with extract at each stage.
Right.
Isotonized extract.
Triple hopped. I mean, please.
Yeah.
Who out here has not done more with hops than some mega brewery that is claiming triple hopping?
Anyone.
Right. Well, we got Blobber and we got Justin.
And Vivo.
All right. We'll be back after a short break.
Keep your carboy cap on. This is Brew Strong. We'll be right back.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids, come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 9 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer and Brew Free or Die IPA throughout California and Alaska.
And now it's also available on draft at select accounts in the Bay Area.
So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in a can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack can.
White Labs, your source for maltose mowing monsters, announces the White Labs Platinum lineup for 2009. Looking for out-of-the-ordinary yeast to make the best beer possible? The Platinum strains from White Labs are only available for a limited time and make your homebrew stand out. Through February, find Australian Ale, Essex Ale, and Dusseldorf Alt yeast. March and April, it's Nottingham Ale, Abbey 4, and Mexican Lager yeast. And May through June, don't miss Premium Bitter Ale, Belgian Wit 2, and Belgian Bastogne Ale yeast. Keep up with all the great yeasts in the White Labs Platinum program at whitelabs.com, where you can also join the White Labs Customer Club. Brew with the freshest and most unique yeast with the White Labs 2009 Platinum strains. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
Is everything ready, Igor?
Yes, Doctor. All the preparations have been seen to.
Good. Soon the whole world will bear witness to my genius, for we are about to breathe life into a creature that once ceased to be and shall be once again.
Doctor?
Damn it, Igor. Never cut me off in mid-laugh.
Sorry, but you were getting carried away, and I...
How dare you! This is the pinnacle of my life's work. Everything my father and grandfather worked for. Everything they...
It's just a conical.
You were no fun. You know that? Throw the switch. Just a conical? It's alive!
More beer is gearing up some great deals this month on their very best gadgets, like their carbonating keg lid, stainless steel mash paddle, and their frighteningly durable stainless quick disconnect sets. No matter how you brew, More Beer has what you need to reanimate your brewery. Bring your gadgets to life this August at More Beer.
Hi, this is Push from the Brewing Network, and I want to tell you about the Brewmaster's Warehouse and how you can get 10% off your next order. I'm a pretty techie guy, but I've never seen an online store like this. It's awesome. Go to brewmasterswarehouse.com and click on Brew Builder. You can whip up a custom recipe so easily even Sven could do it. Seriously, it's slick. You can share your recipe with your own logo and notes to the Brewmaster's database if you want, and the best part, it keeps a running tally of the beer you're building while you're doing it. Then bam, click Buy Recipe, and your cart is filled and ready to go with helpful suggestions in case you forgot something. This thing is amazing. Brewmaster's Warehouse is run the way a homebrewer would do it, with great service, fast turnaround, and $6.99 flat rate shipping. Brewmaster's Warehouse and the Brew Builder blew me away. Check it out today at brewmasterswarehouse.com. I'm serious. And don't forget to put BNARMY in the discount code box for 10% off your order. Check out brewmasterswarehouse.com. Cheers.
Like the Lance Armstrong of the beer world. Except for that nut thing. This is Brew Strong.
All right, we're back. We're live at the NHC, and we are sponsored by our lovely friends right here next to us, More Beer. Morebeer.com, purveyors of fine brewing sculptures and everything you need to brew great beer. Yeah, the interesting thing is we're in like a sponsor sandwich here. We got the love on both sides for our multiple shows, man.
That's hot.
We got the Northern love.
That's hot.
The more love.
That's hot. You sound like Paris Hilton.
That's hot.
That's hot. All right. So, questions starting to come in. Make sure if you got a question for Brew Strong, for John and myself, we'll leave Justin out of it. See the lovely Bevo, who's wandering around. She's got the Great Cans shirt on. And she can take your question. You can write it down. You need to get on the air, but you can also get on the air with the lovely Schumann over here. So, next question.
Yeah, I've got a question from Steve Q here. He wants to know what produces a more fermentable wort. Would that be a thicker mash or a thinner mash?
Thinner mash.
Yeah, thinner.
It's not a major difference, though, right, John?
No,
it's a very fine degree of change between the thick mash and the thin mash. It's really...
it's after you've exhausted all the other main variables like temperature.
Temperature is a huge one.
Yeah, I mean that's when if you're going for the extra couple percent of attenuation, that's when you say, okay, I need to thin my mash up so that you don't you're not fighting a heavy concentration of sugars. I mean, in any equilibrium reaction, you're looking for some sort of gradient, and if you have too many sugars left in solution, it's going to be harder for the enzymes to make more. So
right.
That's why the thinner mash, a little more dilute, works better. But it's a small variable.
Right, with any sort of reasonable range on your mash thickness, pretty much anything between 1 and 2, quarts per pound, or you will do just fine. And if you need a thicker or thinner mash, just adjust your temperature, and that's probably the best control point. Use the mash thickness that works really well for your system, and go from there. Great question, though.
All right, we got another question over here. Someone right here in the room.
Hello, is this thing on? There you go. Hey, Stephen from Florida Keys, Two Dogs Brewing from the Forum. And yes, this is my first NHC. Very cool. A very excellent talk by Sean Paxton earlier. And he was talking about adding all kinds of really crazy things to your beer to give it some more complexities and adding all kinds of stuff. And he did mention that, of course, brewing to style is fine. But I was kind of wondering what you two guys, what is some of the craziest things that are most interesting not to style beer that you've done?
Pineapple IPA. No.
I last year, about 18 months ago, this is about the only story I have in recent brewing for me, but I made a Belgian double based on the recipe and brewing classic styles. I mean, the first part of your question is, what do we take from a style? Well, it's a set of perceptions and qualities in the product that give you something to work towards. So I brewed a Belgian double, and put my own stamp on it as far as a little more of this malt, a little less of that malt, for whatever reason. And then after primary fermentation had stopped, I pasteurized and added some concentrated cherry juice to the fermenter. Fermentation started up again, nice pink froth on top. And the only problem I had is at that time I didn't have good temperature control in the fermentation. I was doing it in the garage, and it had been in the mid 60s all week, and I'm thinking I'm fine. Well, then of course as soon as I started fermenting, it got up to about 90 for the rest of the week. So the beer turned out a little bit hot, a little bit fusely, just a little bit phenolic. I wasn't really pleased with it. Now I kind of left it there, and then after NHC that year, I got oak chips from Vinny that had his house bugs on them. I opened the keg, threw those in there, and then let that keg age for a year, and it turned into a really wonderful creek. I mean, a nice sour beer, and so you can brew to style to get you a starting point, and then you can get creative on that same beer too.
Yeah, and you don't really have to brew to style. I mean, you brew anything you want. But if you're trying to, if you have a kind of beer or, some country you've been to and you've enjoyed something, you go ahead and, pick up a copy of Brewing Classic Styles and try that out. And maybe it gets you somewhere in the ballpark. And then, like Sean's doing, come up with, make some sort of interesting tincture from fruits and spices that you really love, and really kind of develop some sort of tincture and spike it, or be creative. It's all right, and if it doesn't work out and you dump a batch of beer, what the heck, it was one batch of beer. You can go ahead and do that. So I think that was a good question, and appreciate you asking that one. And don't forget that you can pick up these cards right here. They have a coupon code on them for our sponsor, Morebeer, morebeer.com, and you can get $25 off your next order of $150 or more. That's a pretty good coupon, since a lot of you end up buying $150 worth of stuff from Morebeer anyway. So, if you get a chance, come up and pick these up right here at the Brewing Network Central here at the NHC. Next question.
All right, another question right here.
John, Jamil, my name's Kevin. I live in Lake Tahoe.
Kevin.
And so I'm dealing with radical temperature fluctuations on a daily, no matter what the season is.
Right.
I have a real hard time. I don't have a cellar. I don't have anything
even
close.
It gets hot in the day and gets real cold
and
at
so
night.
Temperature control is tough. And I think I'm actually going down a different road.
You've been drinking, Kevin?
Maybe I've been drinking a bit.
That's all right.
Hey, when you're mashing in and you don't hit your strike temp and you end up mashing in a little hot, like say 165, 70.
Yeah.
What sort of effect does that have on starch conversion enzyme activity?
Right.
If you bring it down, if you correct it, if you get some cold water in there and you bring it down to what you were targeting, 150-ish.
That's an excellent question. And there's a couple of things. One is that if you come in way too high and you have kind of killed your enzymes in your malt, you can drop the temperature down, scatter in another half pound or pound of pale malt, or 2 row or whatever you have, whatever your base malt is. Yeah, your gravity might be a little higher, but that's okay. And what's going to happen is those enzymes will be enough to convert the mash. It may take a little bit longer, but those enzymes, they're like keys. You don't use a key once and then the lock does. The key doesn't work in the lock anymore. You can use a key endlessly. And, same thing on the mash. So if you get, just a little bit of extra grain in there and you get your temperature down to the proper range, you'll be okay. Yeah. Now, if you just came in a bit high, really, it's going to work out okay.
Yeah. Beta amylase, is the one you're concerned about, but it has like half-lives as far as, this denaturing temperature. So even if you're at 170 for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, before you can get that cooled down, you still have plenty of beta amylase left. It's not all dead. I mean, in my book, I talk about one data point as far as how much of the beta is left after an hour at this temperature or whatever it was. So,
so you telling them to read the book?
Yeah,
I mean, look at this. I knew you would use this book as an excuse not to do this show
Not to
anymore.
do the show.
I wrote
Where
the
did
book
I hear
so
that
I don't
before?
have to remember all this stuff.
I have a quick follow-up question, because based on the book and what you've said, Palmer, you have me all freaked out about the amount of time if I mess up my temperature. So if you come in high like that, I mean, how much time do I have to get it to the temperature I wanted it to cool it down? Because you guys are talking about how quickly some of these enzymes can change.
Yeah, well, it's temperature dependent. I mean, it's a very temperature time related thing. I think the data point I had was maybe 10 degrees over.
Yeah.
And you still had 15% viability left after half an hour.
Okay.
So I mean, you got lots of time. I mean,
yeah, you have some time, you know. But part of the thing is, it's not that quick and easy to change the temperature of a large volume of mash, because there is a lot of heat capacity there, and getting it to swing, you're going to need to introduce quite a bit of cold water to get that start to swing. So it can be tricky, but it's okay. I mean, don't freak out about it, because don't freak out about it.
This guy's walking by giving us the look like, what the heck is going on in here?
You know. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. It's live. It's live radio. I look back. That's all I did. Come on, Jack. I just look back. But you know, you can. Oh my God!
Yeah. It's a robust process. Don't get really strung out about the time.
Right. Don't freak out about it too much. Yeah, you know, things like that may happen, but you know, it's still going to make beer. It's very difficult to totally screw up making work. Okay, the enzymes.
Well, we are talking about Justin here.
The enzymes want to convert those starches to sugars. It wants to create sugar. It wants to reach the right pH. It wants to. It may not be perfect, but it's pretty hard to really mess it up if you're just anywhere in the general vicinity. And that's one of the things about the mini mashing. You wrote the mini mashing section in Brewing Classic Styles, and. It's a pretty forgiving technique. You know, just throw some grain in there, hold it around the right temperature for the right amount of time.
Lift the bag out.
And if you're too quick or too late, who cares? It's going to be fine. It's going to convert to sugar. That's really what you're looking for in a mash of any kind. And maybe you want it, some more long chain sugars. Maybe you want more short chain sugars. That's okay. You know, next batch you'll do it better. It's okay. Don't freak out about it.
Did you have a follow up to that?
As a general rule, it's better to mash in a little low and bring it up than it is to mash in a little hot and try to get it down. Or does it really make that big of a difference?
I think if your target temp is, say, 150, I'd rather come in at 148, 149 than 154. If your target temp is 160, let's say we did Lagunitas with their Lagunitas IPA, that's like 160, 162. I'd rather come in a little bit high, 163, rather than 155. So that kind of thing. But again, a couple of degrees, not the end of the world. You're really not going to notice it. Even on the Clone Brews show we do, you can miss, your original gravity by 10 points. You're still okay. We've proved that. So there's a lot of flexibility in the system.
All right, we had another question over here on the microphone.
Hi guys, my name's Chris from Rockland, California.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, how you doing? I have a general question. I'm not sure. Well, we'll see how this goes. I entered a Kolsch in the first round of the NHC, and I got some feedback, really good feedback from the judge. She said she detected kind of a sulfury aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it up. I hadn't noticed it before she pointed it out. After she did, I picked it up in some of my other really light beers.
Right.
She thought it might be chlorine related.
Nah, not sulfur.
Any ideas where else I might look to kind of try to get rid of that problem?
All right, so if it's truly sulfur, there's a couple of sources of sulfur. I'll talk about one, and John will probably give you 10. But one of the main ones tends to be. I was talking to Chris White earlier today, and we were talking about I was going to Sierra Nevada, and they were using their ale yeast to make a lager, and they were forcing the temperature down, and I was asking why quite a bit of sulfur would come out, and he said, well, sulfur is yeasts, often yeast when they're under stress will produce excessive sulfur. So that could be one aspect of it. Now, if you're using, a Kolsch yeast or even a lager yeast, it tends to have a bit of sulfur, and that's okay. Lagers tend to have sulfur, and if you're, one of the things to do is get a little more active ferment, and it'll kick that sulfur out. But, I wouldn't think sulfur is chlorine related. I can't see how that connection would be made. It doesn't quite make sense. John? The other 10 avenues of sulfur.
Yeah. Well, I guess the next most probable one is SMM, DMS, coming out. And especially in a style like Kolsch, where you're brewing with a very light Pils malt, unless you get that good, vigorous boil, 90-minute boil, to help drive those precursors off, you'll have a little bit of sulfur left over.
Although, are those really sulfury or more vegetal? Or?
Yeah, I mean, there's... I guess if it's a rotten eggs kind of sulfur smell, I would think that would be more yeast related than say the corn vegetable, which could be more likely a DMS, but it could be come from several sources, but. Those are the big two, I think.
And if they were saying more phenolic, kind of plasticky, Band-Aid-y, something like that, then that would be chlorine related.
Yeah.
But that I would not associate phenolics with sulfur. So slightly different thing.
Yeah. All right, another question over here.
Hey guys, I'm Jimmy from Durham, North Carolina.
Jimmy!
Long-time listener, first-time caller. So out here at the NHC, we've been listening to a lot of the commercial brewers, and they're talking about how they turn around their beers so fast, maybe 2 weeks for an ale. And, I do the temperature-controlled fermentation and oxygen with the oxygen bottle, and I use my Mr. Malty pitching rate calculator.
Sweet.
But not that I really want to go that fast, but whenever I try it, it just never seems to work out.
Right.
I can't get the carbonation right. It just takes a couple of weeks for it to be ready.
If you were brewing every day, the same beer every day, you'd figure out how to start trimming stuff, because you'd be like just bored with doing the same thing over and over again. You'd want to eliminate some of those steps and go play golf or whatever it might be. Now, one of the things a lot of brewers will do, they'll select a yeast that ferments or flocculates fast. Most of the English ale yeasts will do that. A couple of days, you can go from and you lower your gravity a little bit, use an English ale yeast, you filter, and you force carbonate. You can get a beer out within under a week. It's that quick. So the English ale yeast will ferment something out in a few days, and then if you want to minimize the ester profile, which a lot of the pro brewers are doing with that English ale yeast, they'll go to a lower temperature. They'll change their pitching rates, things like that, and then they'll still knock it out quick, and it flocculates fast, and beer gets bright real quick and matures very quickly. So that's one of the keys right there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right.
God, I love having
guys.
Palmer on the program.
Yeah, it really adds depth to all the answers.
Yeah.
When he brings his expertise to bear like that.
Yes. All right, I've got another
That's a
question.
good question, though. Thank you.
IP Freely, I get it, wants to ask, what is the oldest beer Jamil or John have placed with in competition? Which I think is a good question, because I know, Jamil, sometimes you go digging around in your cellar and go, I'll enter this. What is the oldest beer you've done well with?
I can't address that question. I haven't entered in a long time.
John drinks like me. He has no old beer.
Right. For me, I'm sure I've placed with in the second round with 6-year-old beer.
What kind of beer was that? Do you remember?
Oh, it might be mild, or a Scottish 60, or the Southern English Brown. The very first Southern English Brown I brewed, I entered it for a few years and got several golds with it. And, it was like 6 years old at the time. Not a problem.
Were
Not
you
a problem
storing
at all.
that cold?
Yes, and that's one of the things that Charlie Bamforth was bringing up. He said, one of the things is, that staling. It happens, the every 10 degrees C that you raise it, it's happening how much faster?
2 to 3 times as fast.
2 to 3 times as fast. So, get your beer cold and steady. Have good hygiene and good yeast health, and your beer will last. Pretty much forever. It ends up stable and steady, and you can, it'll be just as good the first day. I tell the story of the very first robust porter I ever brewed. One day, like 5 years after I brewed it, I found one bottle left over, and I took it over to my the guy I called my sensei, my master of beer judging, Dave Sapsis, and I just poured it for him. I said, "Oh, here's a porter I brewed." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, that's really good. I like it. It's this, that, the other thing. Nothing about staling or oxidation or anything like that or age." I said, "You don't pick up any?" He goes, "No." He goes, "How long ago did you brew it?" I said, "About 5 years ago." He was like, "Oh, that's just amazing." And it's I think a couple of things there. One is good sanitization, good hygiene, good
quality,
good fermentation. And keeping it cold and steady, and also I think those dark malts, they tend to you get a lot of flavor. I think that masks a little bit, will mask some of the off flavors,
right.
But also I think there's kind of a antioxidant type of thing with those highly roasted, highly kilned malts. And that helps stabilize the flavor. So, something like that, I think it'll last forever. 20 years down the road, it's going to be, just fine.
Yeah. As Charlie was saying, you take a beer that, under normal conditions, at room temperature, would stale within 3 months. Well, if you chill that down to 0 C, you going from 20 C or 25 C down to 0. You can easily increase the shelf life of that beer, to 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. And so, the better job you do going into that beer, the longer shelf life it's going to have at cold temperatures.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Let's take a short break. When we come back, more of your questions. Step up to Schumann at the mic or Beautiful Bevo for writing your questions in. Back after this.
Right. Brew smart.
Brew strong. This is Brew Strong.
BN Army members, are you looking for a discount on hops? Keep listening. Nico's Homebrew Supply at nicobrew.com has hops by the ounce and by the pound. Choose from varieties like Amarillo, Centennial, East Kent Goldings, Hallertauer, Simcoe, Summit, Tomahawk, Warrior, Willamette, and more. And adding new varieties all the time, many for less than $20 a pound. Whether a couple ounces at a time or an 11-pound bag, all hops are shipped vacuum sealed and frozen straight to you. Nico's Homebrew Supply offers store-wide $5 flat rate shipping and won't waste your money on unnecessary overhead or advertising. They're going bare bones and passing the savings on to you. The staff at Nico's Homebrew Supply loves to brew and is committed to keeping homebrewing affordable and accessible to anyone who wants to join in this great hobby. And for a limited time, use coupon code BNARMY at checkout for a Brewing Network discount. Visit nicobrew.com. That's Niko brew.com for your hops and more. nicobrew.com, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Williams Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of their 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Their Williams German Pils is mashed with pure German Moravian 2-row barley malt for a light blonde color and malty crispness you just can't get from other extracts. Or check out their unique fermenters, draft beer equipment, bottling aids, and more. They even have their own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse their vast selection and enter promo code BREW at the order checkout for $5 off your next order over $50. Orders placed by 3 p.m. ship the same day. Again, go to williamsbrewing.com and enter promo code BREW at checkout for $5 off your next order. Brewing is easy, the Williams way. Downtown Joe's, located in the historic Oberon building in beautiful downtown Napa, California, offers an award-winning brew pub experience from 8:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. every day. For 15 years at the corner of 2nd and Main, Downtown Joe's has been voted Best Night Spot 7 times and Best Brew Pub for the last 4 years in a row. Brewmaster Colin Kaminsky's handcrafted ales, like his Tail Wagon Amber Ale and Double Secret Probation IPA, are the perfect accent to riverside dining, live music, and a relaxing outdoor patio. Don't miss the Beer of the Month, special rotating taps, and the BN Army Member Special. Wear your BN gear, get 10% off your beer. Visit downtownjoes.com to make reservations, peruse their extensive calendar of events, or just read more about their fantastic beers. Come enjoy the fine beer, food, and music. Downtown Joe's, the award-winning brew pub where you'll feel at home.
Organic ingredients. Fresh, clean, good for you, good for the planet. And Seven Bridges has the best selection in the world. Everything is a click away at breworganic.com. Join the mailing list for special deals and regular updates about new products and specials. They have been brewing organic and serving organic brewers for almost 12 years. They can help you brew great organic beer. Take the National Organic Brewing Challenge, the only BJCP-sanctioned nationwide brewing competition just for organic beers. Enter the competition by October 10th for your chance to win great prizes, including a hands-on brewing experience at an organic brewery, brewing equipment, or organic brewing ingredients. Complete details about the competition are online at breworganic.com/competition. Seven Bridges is cooperatively owned in awesome Santa Cruz, California. Everyone there is dedicated to worker and people-friendly business practices and environmentally friendly, worker-friendly brewing products whenever possible. Visit today, breworganic.com.
Back to the beer guys that make other beer guys look like wine guys. Brew strong.
All right, we're live from the NHC in Oakland, 2009, and this is an all Q&A show for Brew Strong. We've decided that I think every third show is going to be live Q&A. So if you got questions, you're here in the crowd, step up to the microphone, and we can get your questions on the air, or see the beautiful Bevo, and she will take your questions. You don't even have to be on the air.
Yeah, show us your cues, and we'll give you your DAs.
All right, we've got a question over here on the microphone right now.
You've been drinking, haven't you?
I'm trying. I'm trying to drink today.
Hey, all right. This is Bob from Cincinnati.
Hey, Bob.
Cincinnati Malt and Freezers. And I'm wondering about chilling your wort. How important is it to chill quickly, and other than capturing, aroma hops and preventing your DMS, are there any other benefits? And how important is it to chill in 5 minutes as opposed to 20 to 30 minutes?
That's a good question. Now, there's even in Australia they will do this cube method where they fill this plastic container with boiling wort right to the top, and then they'll seal it up, and they'll turn it around so it sanitizes all the interior surfaces, and then they'll leave it overnight until it chills down all by itself, and then they'll go ahead and pitch their yeast. And I haven't tried it, but I imagine it would work. There's a couple things, like you mentioned, DMS, right? If you haven't fully boiled, for 100 minutes or so, you might be getting a bit more DMS. Especially if you're using a really pale malt. That's one of the things. Same thing in the hop character. If you're using a lot of late hops and you leave it boiling at boiling temperatures, you're really going to, you can start to increase your
Yeah, that was one thing that
IBUs as well.
They've noticed in the method is that they like no boil hop method they can use along with the cube system, where they throw all their hops additions in at the end when it's still boiling hot and let it sit overnight, and they get a lot of their IBUs that way, because you do get isomerization at temperatures other than boiling.
Right. Now the interesting thing is. That's with that method, where you've got a cube that you can sanitize with heat, and you're sure it's sanitary. Now, if you're not doing something like that, if you're just taking your wort, you're putting in a plastic bucket, and you're not covering all the nooks and crannies, and you leave it sit there, overnight or for a longer period of time, that may be an issue. Now, one thing I used to do before I came with my Whirlpool chiller method. I would take my lagers, I would chill them down like normal, put them into a conical fermenter, and I would let that sit there pretty much overnight, like 12 hours until the temperature of the wort could get down to my lager pitching temperature, which is about 43, 44 degrees Fahrenheit. And once it got down to that temperature, I would drop the break material out the bottom port, and then I'd pitch my yeast. So it would sit overnight without any sort of guarantees as to proper hygiene. Now, I did just fine with that, but you really have to be careful. And I think most brewers are really not being careful enough with sanitization, with their hygiene. And what was it Michael Lewis was saying? He said, if you're not paying attention to sanitization, then what the fuck are you doing? Something like that.
Yeah, why are you doing this?
He's a perfect personality for the Brewing Network, I'll tell you.
Yeah,
he would fit right in. The guy's awesome.
Yeah.
But, if you're not doing that basic piece to perfection, you're really shafting yourself on everything else. Now, you shouldn't freak out about it, like some of our friends.
Yeah. Well,
but you really do need to pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah. I guess to go back to the root of the question, why do you need to cool quickly? Well, the reason you need to cool quickly is if you don't understand all these other mechanisms that are going on, cooling quickly helps you avoid poor hygiene, poor sanitation practices, because you're cooling through the active temperature range for bacteria quickly. If you haven't boiled for DMS, all your precursor off, cooling quickly helps you avoid excess DMS. I mean, so cooling quickly is a recommended practice to help you improve the odds of a good batch. But if you understand all the things that are going on in the beer, then you can select how you want to other methods for achieving that beer that may not involve rapid cooling. Cold break is another possibility that comes to mind in terms of protein coagulation.
Right. You won't. Well, all right.
Yeah,
So cold break forms, though.
It does.
No matter how rapidly you chill, it isn't a rapidity thing.
Yeah.
It's how cold you get it. So if you get your wort down to 70 degrees, no matter how fast you get a certain amount of break material.
Right.
If you then chill it down to 32 degrees, you'll get even more break material. And it's really just based on the temperature you get it to.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Well, I won't go off on a tangent there, but
that would be terrible, John.
I thought that was a good answer, though, John. I think you're coming back.
Got a lot of questions and a little short on time. We've got another question on the microphone over here.
It's Peter from Sydney, Australia.
G'day.
I don't agree with what you're saying about all this. The no-chill stuff works absolutely fine.
I didn't say it didn't work fine.
It's a bit scary putting the boiling wort into the plastic container, but apart from that, you can stick it in the fridge. You don't have to use lots of water, which is really important when you've got water restrictions. I know you guys don't tend to have water restrictions here, but you do in Australia.
We have them in Pacheco, believe it or not. Yeah. I mean it. I'm not making a joke. We have water
restrictions. That's the reason why something. This is a worry.
That's the reason why they don't shower in the Brewing Network studios.
I'm liking your point, Peter.
Yeah. No, I think it's whilst it may have some of the downsides that you mentioned, a lot of guys in Australia have used the method really well. So
now,
don't knock what you haven't done.
Open your ears up. Did you hear us knocking it? No, we said we
I haven't
tried
heard
it.
any gratuitous book plugging in this comment either.
We haven't
I don't know
tried
what's up with you.
Come on, he's a palm. Yeah, masquerading as an Aussie. No. We're saying these are possible issues. But no, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't work. I think the two things that John brought up, sanitization and DMS, you can get around those things. With that method, boil long enough, vigorously enough, and you're sanitizing the inside very effectively, I think, with the heat. So I think that's good too. I don't think that's a problem. I think the only problem you really have is kind of you really kind of dial in your hop character and your hop bitterness. Hop character is something we really go nuts about out here on the West Coast. So that might be a little more tricky on that method.
Just got one final comment. There's a lot of wort kits sold in Australia by professional breweries, and this is the method they've used for ages across a whole range of styles. But I would agree with you, the amount of time that the hop is on the hop wort is a factor, because you do end up with a very big hop character potentially. Okay, thanks guys.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it. We've got another question. One of our listeners we know very well. He happens to be handcuffed to another listener. Blobberglop has, I'm told, a serious question.
Yeah, it's a serious question. Hi, guys.
Hey,
Blobber. Question about German lagers. I was in Germany last year, visited a brewery, and the head brewer couldn't insist enough about the fact that when they force carbonate, they leave it in the tank, and then they just kind of shut the pressure off. They don't let it they let the pressure rise. Force carbonate, and he insisted that it was a major. One of the big reasons why German beer tasted the way German beer does. And we've been to Germany. We know what it is in fresh German beer. It's amazing.
I
just want to know what you guys feel about this. Is this true? Do you think that forced carbonating like this in the tank, carbonation,
he's got his head up
difference?
his ass. I'm sorry. No, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And one of the things, one of the reasons why they kind of go that route is because the Reinheitsgebot is, restricts them from injecting carbon dioxide that did not come from beer. So what you'll find in Germany is, they'll recover the CO2 from fermentation and store that and then inject that into the beer.
Yeah.
The CO2 is CO2. There's no difference between that. It really doesn't have an effect. Now, if you're talking about bottle conditioning, something like that, there is a slight difference there. But the CO2 generated and all that carbonation is really not any different. It's, whether you trap it during conditioning or whether you inject it later on, it's really not going to have an effect. Now, the only thing I would say is that the difference is going to be when you start trapping CO2 pressure and the partial pressure of CO2 starts to rise, it's going to restrict the yeast from actually doing anything. So it actually, if you ask me, it is inhibiting the yeast from further development of the beer. Right. So it's almost the opposite of what they're assuming it is. And people have these, glorified pictures of what, they've been doing. Anybody who homebrews, they think, I did this, so my beer is better. And I think that's part of it. But it's an excellent question. I like
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Blobber. A couple more questions were entered. Did you want to follow up, Palmer?
No, Palmer doesn't need to talk. I've taken over. No, go ahead.
Well, no, I think also, you're gonna trap off gas. Sulfur tends to come off lager fermentations. If they, as they cap that off and finish fermentation and carbonate that way, they're going to trap some more sulfur in the beer. Potentially.
Yeah.
There's always.
It depends on
the whole process, but there's always that.
A lot of the sulfur development is earlier on, and with the active fermentation kind of blows that out, and
So I guess what I was going to say is that there's no inherent superiority to it. There's potential for it going, for making it worse also.
Right, absolutely.
All right, let me try to get in a couple more questions here. I'm going to get this name wrong. I apologize. Deal from Sydney. has questioned
another Aussie.
When using 5.2 in the mash, can or should other salts also be added, or can you only use 5.2 on its own?
No, you can add other salts if you. I think if you understand, your water, and you're saying to yourself, okay, I don't have enough calcium, I don't have optimum calcium in this water, then adding 5.2 is not going to fix that necessarily. You may want to add some additional calcium as well.
Okay, let's get one more question in. Dick Hertz is brewing a lambic and wants to know how you age your hops. How do you age hops?
All right, so the quick and dirty method is, you put them in a brown paper bag. You use whole cone hops, spread them out loose in a brown paper bag, and then put them somewhere real warm. If you have attic or some place where it gets real hot in your house day in day out, put it up there. The hops will go through this real cheesy phase initially, and if it smells like rotten cheese, it's not gone far enough.
Right, you got to get past that.
Yeah, it gets to a point where it clears through that. Now, the important thing is, again, have them loose in that bag. The looser they are, the quicker that stench will get out of there. And if you have them packed as a brick, you're really going to run into a problem there.
Yeah.
So,
and
the thing
keep them
to
out
do,
of the light too.
Yeah, the thing to do though is to put some in a bag now and throw them out there. And next year you'll be ready to go. A lot of times, what you'll find, go ask your homebrew shop, say, hey, you got any leftover stanky old whole cone hops laying around? And I went to my homebrew shop and they gave me a couple of pounds. They're like, yeah, here you go. Knock yourself out. So it's not that common a request sometimes, and they'll be able to take care of you on that.
Yep.
All right, those are our questions. Jamil, John, let's go to club night, huh?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Club night is going to be one of the premier events at this conference. If you've never been to an NHC, you must go. It's one of the best
tell people all the time,
beer events possible.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, it's like, you go to GABF, you have some fantastic beers. I think Club Night rivals GABF because, people, homebrewers are bringing a wider variety of styles, and they're bringing their best examples of styles to Club Night. And non-style beer too. They're bringing really interesting beers because we're all beer lovers, and they really bring some great stuff to Club Night.
But the thing about GABF is, it's a great event, but it's mainly about the beer. The really cool thing about the NHC is it's mainly about the people. The beer is, again, the lube that helps the social intercourse at the conference.
As an aside, Jamil gave a keynote speech where he talked about
social intercourse.
It's not just
intercourse, lubricant, the fact that I'm not gay.
The fact that you have to state it on stage in front of everybody is the problem.
Well, I never had to until I was on the Brewing Network. I don't know what happened at that point, but something in my life changed, and somehow
it's become a concern.
Yeah. Somehow now I have to defend myself, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, clearly. But just like there's nothing wrong with our great sponsor, More Beer. You check them out at www.morebeer.com. They're giving away a great brew system tonight at the club night. Sign up for that, get some raffle tickets, and same thing for the Brewing Network. If you're here in the room tonight, get yourself some tickets. They're $10, but it's a $2,300 stainless system. Well worth taking a flyer for $10, and that money goes to helping the Brewing Network keep fine brewcasting like this on the air.
I'm hungry, so buy some.
All right, yeah. Keep them in ramen and condoms. Have a great time. Thanks for being here.
Cheers, mate.
Brew strong.
This is the show that dispels myths, tackles the toughest topics, and makes no apologies for geeking out on beer. Hosted by two guys that drink before they think. Jamil Zainasheff and John Palmer. This is Brew Strong.